Chosen one, why did your finger freeze mid-scroll? Why does your chest feel tight right now, like something invisible just pressed pause on your entire world? And why, tell me, why does November 22 feel like it's been circling your spirit like a whisper you can't quite hear, but can't stop feeling? Stop. Don't move. Don't you dare scroll past this. Something just shifted over your name in the heavenly realms, and whether you believe it or not, your spirit heard it before your mind caught up. That's why you're still here. That's why you didn't keep scrolling like you do with everything else. This isn't algorithm. This isn't coincidence. This is divine interruption. Listen to me, beloved, and I mean really. Listen. You didn't find this message. Heaven pulled you here like a magnet to steel, like breath to drowning lungs. Because November 22 isn't just another date on the calendar you've been crossing off with tired hands. November 22 is a hinge point, a pre-written turning point that's been marked in eternity since before you took your first breath. I know what you're carrying right now. I know about the prayers you whispered 40 years ago that still haven't been answered. I know about the nights you lay awake after burying the person who made life make sense, wondering if God moved to a new address and forgot to tell you. I know about those 3 a.m. moments when you stare at the ceiling and ask the darkness, Lord, did you forget my name? He didn't forget. He's been waiting for November 22. You feel that flutter in your chest, that sudden heaviness in the atmosphere around you. It's like the veil between here and eternity just got thinner, like your spirit is recognizing something your mind hasn't processed yet. That's not anxiety, dear one. That's confirmation. Heaven is leaning into your timeline right now, and your soul knows it. Before we go deeper, and we're about to go deep, I want to pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through Super Thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and let the Spirit lead your heart. But right now, right this second, I need you to understand something that's going to change everything. November 22 is not coming toward you. It's already inside your atmosphere. It's already wrapping around your circumstances. It's already repositioning pieces of your life you can't even see yet. If something in you already feels this, if your spirit is trembling with recognition right now, type these 4 words in the comments. I receive this miracle. Don't think about it. Don't analyze it. Just let heaven see your agreement. Because what I'm about to tell you will explain why you've waited so long, why it hurt so much, and why November 22 was always the date circled in red on heaven's calendar with your name written in gold beside it. How many decades have you spent whispering to yourself, I'm too late? How many mornings have you woken up feeling like the world moved on without you, like your season passed while you were still waiting for it to arrive? And when was the last time you looked in the mirror and saw someone God could still use, instead of someone God forgot? Listen to me, beloved. Sit back for a moment and let these words wash over the weight you've been carrying. You think you've been delayed. You think you missed your window. You think God put you on the shelf while He handed miracles to younger people with more energy, more time, more relevance. But what if I told you something that will shatter that lie into a million pieces? You weren't delayed. You were preserved. There's a difference, dear one. A massive difference. When something is delayed, it means it should have happened already but got stuck. But when something is preserved, it means it's being protected, aged, refined for the exact moment when its value will be undeniable. Think about wine for a second. You don't drink the finest wine the day the grapes are pressed. You seal it, you store it, you wait, and the longer it ages, the more valuable it becomes. The 1,947 Chateau d'Yquem sold for $117,000 a bottle. Why? Because time didn't diminish it. Time perfected it. That's you. That's what God has been doing with your life. While you thought He was ignoring you, He was aging your anointing like wine. While you thought he forgot your address, he was sealing you away from contamination, from premature exposure, from being wasted before the miracle moment arrived. Your delay wasn't God being slow. It was God refusing to waste you. But I know what you're feeling right now. I know about the loneliness that sits in your chest like a stone. I know about the nights when you can't sleep because regret keeps you company. I know about the mornings when you shuffle to the kitchen and wonder if anyone would notice if you just weren't here anymore. You feel invisible, don't you? Like the world sees right through you. Your children are busy with their own lives. Your friends from decades ago are gone. The church you served faithfully for 40 years barely remembers your name. You walk through grocery stores and no one makes eye contact. You sit in doctors' waiting rooms surrounded by people, yet you've never felt more alone. And somewhere deep inside, there's this whisper that haunts you. My time has passed. I'm too old. God's done with people like me. That whisper is a lie from hell. Let me show you something that will break that lie's back. Open your Bible or just listen close, because what I'm about to show you will change how you see every single year you've lived. Moses was 80 years old when God called him from a burning bush. 80. Exodus 7:7 says, Moses was 80 years old and Aaron 83 when they spoke to Pharaoh. The world would have put him in a nursing home. God put him at the front of the greatest deliverance in human history. For the next 40 years, Moses led millions, split seas, spoke face to face with the Almighty. His greatest chapter didn't start until most people's lives are over. But there's more. Sarah was 90 years old when she gave birth to Isaac. 90. Genesis 17. 17 records that Abraham was 100 and Sarah was 90 when God's promise finally manifested. Her womb was dead. Her hope was buried. But God doesn't operate on biological clocks. He operates on divine appointments. Anna the prophetess was 84 years old, widowed after only 7 years of marriage, spending decades in the temple praying and fasting. Luke 2:36-37 tells us she never left the temple, serving God day and night. Everyone probably thought, poor old Anna, still hanging around, still hoping. But when baby Jesus was brought to the temple, she was the first to recognize the Messiah and proclaim redemption to all Jerusalem. 84 years of preparation for one moment of prophetic declaration that would echo through eternity. Caleb was 85 years old when he stood before Joshua and said, "Give me this mountain." Joshua 14:10-12 records his words, "I am still as strong today as the day Moses sent me out. I'm just as vigorous to go out to battle now as I was then. Now give me this hill country." 85 years old, and he was ready to fight giants. John received the book of Revelation on the island of Patmos when he was over 90 years old. The youngest disciple became the oldest apostle, and in his final years, God gave him a vision of the end of all things. The most profound prophetic book in the New Testament came through a man the world had forgotten. Do you see the pattern? Do you see what God is trying to tell you through Scripture itself? Your age isn't your disqualification. Your age is your qualification. Every gray hair is a crown of wisdom. Every wrinkle is a map of God's faithfulness. Every year you've survived is proof that you're still here for a reason. But here's what breaks my heart. Here's what the enemy has been working overtime to hide from you. While you've been sitting in regret, thinking you're too old, too tired, too late, God has been preparing you for something so specific, so powerful, so perfectly timed that if it had come any earlier, you wouldn't have been ready for it. You think you're fading. You're finally awakening. You think you're slowing down. You're being positioned. You think your best days are behind you. Your finest hour is November 22. Every closed door wasn't rejection. Every disappointment wasn't punishment. Every season of waiting wasn't abandonment. It was preservation. God was hiding you from opportunities that would have destroyed you, protecting you from blessings you weren't ready to steward, keeping you sealed until the exact moment when your release would have maximum impact. Your delay wasn't God being slow. It was God refusing to waste you before the miracle moment arrived. Think about Joseph, 17 years old when he received his dreams, 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, 13 years of slavery, false accusation, and prison. 13 years. But Genesis 41 to 46 tells us Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Every year in the pit, every year in Potiphar's house, every year in that dungeon was preparation for the day he would save nations. That's you right now. Every year you thought was wasted was actually working. Every season you thought was empty was actually full of divine preparation. Every moment you felt forgotten was actually you being hidden for such a time as this. But here's the urgency I need you to feel right now. In just a moment, I'm going to show you the one sign that proves November 22 is your turning day. One unmistakable sign that will confirm you're not imagining this, that this message was meant specifically for you. But first, you need to understand why God hid you, because if you don't understand the hiding, you won't recognize the revealing. November 22 isn't just another day on your calendar. It's the day your preservation period ends and your manifestation season begins. Are you ready to discover what God has been protecting you for? You want to know why November 22 feels different, why your spirit has been restless for weeks, like something's building in the atmosphere but you can't name it. Let me tell you what's really happening in the unseen realm right now. Heaven operates on two clocks, beloved. There's Chronos, the ticking seconds, the calendar pages you flip with trembling hands, the years that seem to drag when you're waiting for God to move. That's Earth time. Human time. The time that makes you feel like you're running out of opportunities. But then there's Kairos, divine time. God's appointed moments when eternity crashes into your timeline with such force that everything before it becomes the old life and everything after it becomes the new creation. November 22 is Kairos. This isn't just another Friday you'll forget by Monday. This is a hinge point in your existence. A moment that's been marked in heaven's calendar since before your grandmother prayed that desperate prayer over your bloodline. Since before your mother cried out in the night wondering if anyone in your family would ever break free. Since before you took your first breath and heaven whispered, "This one will know breakthrough in their latter years." You've been living in Chronos for so long that you forgot what Kairos feels like, but your spirit remembers. That's why you can't shake this feeling. That's why November 22 keeps echoing in your chest like a drumbeat you didn't ask to hear. Let me take you to the word. Ecclesiastes 3:1 tells us, "To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven." But most people miss what comes after verse 11 says, God has made everything beautiful in its time. Not your time, His time. And His time for you is November 22. Think about the Israelites at Jericho. They marched around those walls for 6 days. 6 days of the same routine, the same doubt, the same massive obstacles mocking them. I can hear them now, Joshua. Are we just walking in circles? Has God forgotten what He promised? Maybe we're too old for conquest. Maybe walls this big don't fall for people like us. But on the 7th day, Joshua gave one command, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city." Joshua 6:16. Notice he didn't say, "The Lord will give you the city." He said, "has given," past tense. It was already done in the heavenly realm. They just needed to step into the Kairos moment. That 7th day is your November 22. You've been circling your Jericho for how long now? That health issue that doctors keep scratching their heads about. That's your Jericho. That financial pressure that should have crushed you years ago, but somehow you're still standing. That's your Jericho. That family member who walked away and you've been praying them back ever since. That's your Jericho. That deep loneliness that sits in your chest even when you're surrounded by people. That's your Jericho. But here's what's about to shock you. Those walls aren't falling because you finally figured out the right strategy. They're falling because heaven just hit the alarm clock on a divine appointment that was set before you ever saw those walls. Right now, and I mean right this second, angels are already in motion. Your name has already been spoken in rooms you haven't entered yet. Conversations are happening in the spiritual realm about your breakthrough. Doors are creaking open that have been rusted shut for decades. People you haven't met yet are being positioned to cross your path. Resources you didn't know existed are being redirected toward your life. Do you understand what I'm telling you? This isn't theory. This isn't motivational fluff to make you feel better for 10 minutes. This is prophetic intelligence from the throne room of God. In Daniel 10, the angel told Daniel, "From the first day that you set your heart to understand, your words were heard, and I have come because of your words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. 21 days. The answer was released the moment Daniel prayed, but it took 3 weeks to break through the warfare. How long have you been praying? How many decades have you been believing? You think God didn't hear you. You think your prayers evaporated into thin air. No. They've been building, accumulating, creating pressure in the heavenly realm. And November 22 is when that pressure explodes into your natural circumstances. But here's where most believers miss their miracle. They're so focused on waiting for God to move that they don't recognize when He already has. They're looking for the breakthrough to come to them when God is saying, "I need you to step into it." You are not waiting for the miracle. The miracle is waiting for you to step into November 22. Think about the paralyzed man at the pool of Bethesda. He'd been lying there for 38 years. 38 years. Watching other people get their miracles while he stayed stuck. And then Jesus asks him the strangest question. Do you want to be made well? John 5-6. Of course he wants to be well. What kind of question is that? But Jesus was asking something deeper. Do you want it enough to get up? Do you want it enough to stop making excuses? Do you want it enough to step into this moment, even though you've been disappointed for almost 4 decades? I'm asking you the same question right now. Do you want this miracle enough to believe it's actually happening? Do you want breakthrough enough to stop rehearsing all the reasons why it won't work this time? Do you want your November 22 Kairos moment enough to step toward it instead of away from it? Because here's the truth that's going to either liberate you or offend you. Heaven has been preparing this moment for decades, but heaven won't force you to receive it. This window opens only for the faithful, only for the long-suffering, only for the ones who kept believing when it made no logical sense, only for the ones who are still standing when others sat down, only for the ones who refused to curse God even when life gave them every reason to. That's you. That's why you're hearing this message. That's why your spirit is vibrating with recognition right now. November 22 is your 7th day around Jericho. November 22 is your Kairos interrupting your Chronos. November 22 is heaven's clock hitting your name with such precision that every demonic delay, every spiritual roadblock, every year of waiting is about to make sense in one explosive moment. If you feel this stirring in your chest right now, if something ancient and eternal is waking up inside you, comment these 3 words. I'm stepping in. Those aren't just words. That's your agreement with heaven. That's your shout before the walls fall. But the question that will determine everything is this. When November 22 arrives, will you be standing at the wall with your mouth open ready to shout? Or will you still be sitting in the camp wondering if God really meant you? You want to know why your life has been so hard, why you've buried more loved ones than you can count, why financial breakthroughs seem to come for everyone except you, why your children don't call as often as they should, why your body aches with pain that doctors can't fully explain, why some mornings you wake up and wonder if God even remembers you're still here. Listen to me very carefully, chosen one. What I'm about to tell you will shatter every lie the enemy has whispered in your ear for the last 70, 80, 90 years. Your suffering was never random. It was targeted. The devil doesn't waste ammunition on empty vessels. Hell doesn't deploy its fiercest demons against people who pose no threat to the kingdom of darkness. But you've been in the crosshairs since the day you were born, because the enemy saw something in you that you're just now beginning to remember. He saw your calling. and it terrified him. Think about Job for a moment. The Bible says in Job 1-8 that God himself pointed Job out to Satan. "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him." And what happened next? Everything was stripped away. His wealth, his children, his health, his wife's support. But here's what Satan didn't count on. Every attack only refined what was already there. Pure, unshakable faith. You are Job in this generation. That heart attack you survived at 67, that wasn't just bad luck. That was hell trying to take you out before November 22 arrived. That depression that nearly swallowed you whole in your 50s, that was a strategic assault to silence the voice you're about to use. That financial devastation that left you eating the same meal 3 days in a row, that was spiritual robbery designed to convince you that God doesn't provide for his own. But you're still here, you're still breathing, you're still believing, and that, beloved, is proof that you survived what should have killed you. Look around at your generation. How many friends have you buried? How many people you went to school with are no longer here? How many family members didn't make it to their golden years? Yet here you stand, weathered, yes. Scarred, absolutely. But standing, that's not luck. That's divine protection over someone heaven refuses to lose. Every storm you weathered taught you something the comfortable will never learn. That divorce that shattered your heart into 1,000 pieces, it gave you the ability to recognize when someone else is drowning in grief and throw them a lifeline of hope. That bankruptcy that left you ashamed to show your face at church, it taught you that your security doesn't come from your bank account, it comes from your relationship with the provider. That diagnosis that made you face your mortality, it showed you how to number your days and make every moment count. The pressure you've been under wasn't trying to crush you, it was creating a diamond. Moses was 80 years old when God called him from that burning bush. 80. He'd spent 40 years thinking he was somebody in Pharaoh's palace, then 40 years thinking he was nobody in the wilderness. But God was using both seasons, the palace and the desert, to prepare him for the greatest assignment of his life. The same man who ran away from Egypt as a murderer returned as a deliverer. Why? Because the wilderness refined what the palace could never touch. Your wilderness wasn't punishment, dear one, it was preparation. David spent years running from cave to cave, hiding from King Saul who wanted him dead. Years of fear, isolation, wondering if God had forgotten the promise whispered over him by the prophet Samuel. But those cave years weren't wasted time. Every psalm he wrote in darkness became light for millions who would follow. Every tear he cried in secret trained him to lead a nation with compassion. The cave wasn't his grave, it was his training ground. Your cave has been your seminary. But here's what breaks my heart. Here's what makes my spirit groan with holy indignation. The enemy convinced you that your scars were signs of failure. He whispered lies in the middle of your sleepless nights, telling you that if God really loved you, life wouldn't hurt so much. He made you believe that your struggles disqualified you from being used by heaven. That's the biggest lie ever told. Your heartbreak trained your compassion. Your losses sharpened your discernment. Your financial struggles taught you radical dependence on God. Your health battles showed you that His strength is made perfect in weakness. Your loneliness drove you to your knees, where you learned to hear His voice above the noise of this world. The years that broke you actually built you. Hell doesn't attack the unimportant. The intensity of your suffering proves the weight of your calling. Think about it. Why would darkness waste decades trying to destroy someone ordinary? Why would the forces of hell mobilize such a sustained campaign against a life that didn't matter? Every suicide thought you fought off and won, that was evidence you're carrying something the enemy desperately wants to stop. Every time you almost gave up but found strength to take one more step, that was supernatural grace protecting what God planted in you. You didn't survive by accident, you survived by assignment. Ephesians 6:12 tells us, "We don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness." You've been fighting invisible battles your whole life. The enemy you couldn't see has been working overtime to keep you confused, isolated, defeated. Why? Because he knows something about November 22 that you're about to discover. He knows that when you finally step into what heaven has prepared, his reign of terror in your sphere of influence is over. Every closed door was protecting you from settling for less than God's best. Every delay was positioning you for divine timing. Every setback was actually a setup for comeback. The enemy meant it for evil, but God, oh beloved, but God has been turning it all into your greatest victory. Genesis 50-20 captures it perfectly. Joseph, after decades of slavery and prison, looked at his brothers who betrayed him and said, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. Your pain wasn't pointless, it was purposeful. Your suffering wasn't senseless, it was strategic. And now, right now, as these words wash over your weary soul, something is shifting. The warfare that's followed you for decades is about to be exposed for what it really was. Not evidence of God's absence, but proof of his presence. Not a sign you were cursed, but confirmation you were chosen. The enemy fought you hardest because you were carrying the largest calling. But here's what hell never wanted you to discover. Here's the secret that's been hidden until this appointed hour. All that warfare, all those attacks, all those years of suffering, they were preparing you for what unlocks on November 22. And what's about to be released into your life will make every tear worth it, every struggle meaningful, every year of waiting justified. Are you ready to find out what the enemy has been trying so desperately to keep from you? Now listen to me very carefully, because what I'm about to reveal will shatter every lie you've believed about your situation. You think you're waiting for a miracle, but the truth, the earth-shaking, heaven-thundering truth is that the miracle isn't coming. It's already here. November 22 didn't just mark a date on God's calendar. It released something into the spiritual atmosphere that's been hovering over your life, waiting for this exact moment. And right now, as these words wash over your spirit, that miracle is breaking through dimensions you can't see with natural eyes. Let me tell you what heaven just placed in your hands, even if your fingers can't feel it yet. The first layer, the miracle of renewal. Dear one, do you remember what your body used to feel like? Do you remember when you could wake up without that ache in your lower back, when you could climb stairs without your knees screaming, when you could remember names without that fog rolling through your mind? Somewhere along the way, you stopped expecting to feel strong again. You made peace with the pain. You accepted that this is just what 70 looks like, what 80 feels like, what 90 means. But Isaiah 40-31 didn't stutter when it declared, "They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint." Renew. Not remember what strength used to feel like. Renew. Present tense. Active. Happening now. What if I told you that on November 22, God began pouring supernatural vitality back into your bones? Not the kind that comes from pills or doctors, though, thank God for medicine, but the kind that flows from the throne room straight into your marrow. The kind that makes your children look at you sideways and ask, "Mom, what's different about you?" The kind that has you waking up at 5 a.m. not because you can't sleep, but because something in you is ready to rise. You've been tired for so long. Not just physically tired, soul tired. The kind of tired that sleep doesn't touch, that vacations don't fix, that rest doesn't reach. You've been carrying weight that was never meant for your shoulders. Grief from burying people you loved, disappointment from dreams that died, exhaustion from fighting battles nobody else could see. But something just shifted. Can you feel it? That stirring in your chest. That's not hope trying to convince you. That's renewal already flowing. The miracle of strength returning to places that felt permanently broken. The second layer, the miracle of revelation. But it's not just your body that's being renewed. It's your vision. your understanding, your ability to finally see what God has been doing all along. How many years have you been asking, why? Why did my husband have to die so young? Why did my daughter stop calling? Why did the business fail? Why did the diagnosis come? Why did I pray for 40 years and nothing changed? You've been living in a fog of confusion so thick you stopped asking questions because the silence hurt more than not knowing. But Proverbs 29:18 says, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." You haven't been perishing, beloved. You've been waiting for revelation. And November 22 just cracked open the seal on answers you prayed for decades ago. Think about this. You prayed in 1985 for your son to come back to God. You prayed in 1992 for financial breakthrough. You prayed in 2003 for purpose in your golden years. You prayed in 2015 for healing in your family. And year after year, the heavens seemed silent. Not because God wasn't listening, but because the answer required preparation you hadn't gone through yet. Job waited through unimaginable loss before God revealed his purpose. Joseph sat in prison for years before understanding why he had to be betrayed. Abraham wandered for 25 years before Isaac arrived. The delay wasn't denial, it was development. And right now, this very moment, clarity is breaking through confusion, like lightning splitting a dark sky. You're about to understand why doors closed, why people left, why you had to walk through valleys that nearly killed you. The revelation isn't coming someday. It's downloading into your spirit as you hear these words. Suddenly, pieces that never made sense are clicking together. Betrayals that crushed you were actually protecting you from partnerships that would have destroyed you. Losses that broke your heart were clearing space for blessings your old life couldn't contain. Delays that frustrated you were heaven's way of saying, "Not yet, because what I have for you requires a different version of you." The third layer, the miracle of realignment. But here's where it gets supernatural. Here's where heaven stops playing small. The miracle of November 22 isn't just renewal and revelation, it's realignment. God is literally repositioning the people, the doors, the opportunities around your life right now, not next year. Not when you're ready. Right now. It's like God turned the page of your life without asking your permission. People who walked away are suddenly thinking about you. Doors that slammed shut are creaking open. Opportunities you stopped praying for are circling back around. Money you wrote off is being released. Relationships you thought were dead are breathing again. But here's what's going to mess with your mind. You didn't do anything different. You didn't suddenly become more worthy. You didn't finally get spiritual enough. This is pure sovereign grace. This is God saying, "I'm done watching you struggle. I'm done letting the enemy mock my child. It's time." Psalm 37:23 declares, "The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord." Not suggested, not influenced, ordered, commanded, arranged by divine decree. And every step you're about to take, every door you're about to walk through, every person you're about to meet, every breakthrough you're about to experience, it's already been ordered. But you have to understand the urgency of this moment. Realignment doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It doesn't pause until you understand it fully. It moves whether you're watching or not. And right now, pieces are shifting on the chessboard of your life that you can't even see yet. The miracle is not waiting for November 22 to arrive. It's already inside your timeline, unfolding as you listen. It's already rearranging your future. It's already calling in favor you haven't earned and opening doors you didn't knock on. 3 layers. Renewal of your strength, revelation of God's purposes, realignment of your destiny. Not coming. Here. Not someday. Today. So let me ask you something that's going to determine everything. Are you going to let doubt convince you this is too good to be true? Or are you going to open your hands and receive what heaven just released over your life? If you feel this in your spirit, if something deep inside you is saying, "Yes, this is for me," comment right now. I receive my November 22 miracle. Don't think about it. Don't analyze whether you deserve it. Just let heaven see your agreement. Because what happens next depends entirely on whether you can believe that God would really do something this magnificent for someone like you. Now listen to me very carefully, chosen one, because what I'm about to tell you will determine whether you step into this miracle or watch it pass by like every other promise you thought was meant for someone else. Heaven has released your miracle. It's hovering over your life right now like a cloud of glory waiting to rain down. But here's what most believers miss. Here's what keeps people stuck in the waiting room their entire lives. Miracles don't fall on passive people. They fall on those who move. God didn't part the Red Sea for Moses while he was sitting down complaining. He parted it when Moses stretched out his hand. He didn't crumble the walls of Jericho while Israel stayed in their tents. He brought them down when they marched and shouted. He didn't rain bread from heaven while the Israelites slept late. Manna fell every morning, but they had to get up and gather it. Your obedience is the key that unlocks the miracle that's already yours. So right now, between this moment and November 22, there are 5 actions heaven is calling you to take. Not suggestions, not if you feel like it. Actions. And I'm telling you, from 50 years of walking with God, every single person I've ever seen step into genuine breakthrough did these exact things, whether they knew it or not. Step 1. Speak life, no more negative agreement. How many years have you been prophesying your own defeat? How many mornings have you woken up and the first words out of your mouth were, "I'm so tired, I can't take this anymore. Nothing ever changes." You think those are just observations? No, beloved. Those are agreements with darkness. Proverbs 18:21 says, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue." Not death or life, death and life. Your mouth is carrying both right now, and whichever one you speak is the one you're feeding. Starting today, right now, I want you to catch yourself every single time a negative word tries to crawl out of your throat. Stop it. Redirect it. Say instead, "God is working in my situation. My breakthrough is closer than it's ever been. November 22 is my turning point." You think that's just positive thinking. That's not psychology. That's spiritual warfare. You're revoking the enemy's permission to narrate your story. Step 2. Clean one room or one corner. Now I know some of you are sitting there thinking, what does cleaning have to do with my miracle? Everything. Let me tell you something that's going to hit you hard. The state of your physical space reflects the state of your spiritual space. When your home is cluttered, chaotic, piled with years of things you don't need, don't use, don't even remember why you kept, that's not just mess, that's spiritual blockage. Think about the Passover. Exodus 12 tells us that before God delivered Israel from Egypt, before the greatest miracle of the Old Testament, what did he tell them to do? Clean their houses, remove all leaven, make everything ready. Not because God cares about dusty corners, but because obedience in the natural activates power in the spiritual. I'm not asking you to deep clean your entire house. I'm asking you to choose one room, one corner, one closet, and clear it out. Throw away what's dead. Organize what's living. Make space, because you can't receive new wine in old dirty wineskins. When you clear physical space, you're declaring to heaven, I'm making room for what you're about to do. Step 3. A 5-minute silent prayer of surrender. This one's going to be the hardest for some of you, and here's why you've been talking at God for so long, you've forgotten how to listen to Him. Every morning, every night, you're hitting your knees with your list. God, I need this, fix that, change them, heal this. And I'm not saying petition prayers are wrong, but when was the last time you just sat in His presence and let Him speak? Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." Be still. Stop moving, stop talking, stop listing your problems like He doesn't already know them. Just sit there in silence for 5 minutes and surrender everything. This isn't meditation. This isn't emptying your mind. This is alignment. This is tuning your spirit to heaven's frequency, so when the miracle comes, you'll recognize it. Because sometimes God has been speaking all along, but your spirit's been too noisy to hear him. 5 minutes. That's it. No music, no distractions. Just you and the presence of the Almighty. And watch what happens when you stop trying to orchestrate your own breakthrough and let him conduct it. Step 4. Write down one thing you want restored. Habakkuk 2:2 says, write the vision and make it plain. Not think about the vision, not hope for the vision. Write it down. Why? Because when you put ink to paper, you're moving from wishful thinking to prophetic declaration. I want you to get a piece of paper right now. Not later, not tomorrow. Right now. And I want you to write down one thing. Just one that you're believing God to restore by November 22. Is it your health? Write it. Is it a relationship with your child who hasn't called in 3 years? Write it. Is it your finances that have been hemorrhaging for decades? Write it. Is it your joy that died somewhere along the way and you can't remember when? Write it. Because here's what happens when you write it. Faith becomes tangible. Hope gets hands and feet. And heaven sees you taking your miracle seriously enough to commit it to permanence. Step 5. Bless someone. Now, here's the key that unlocks everything else. Here's the secret that activates the flow of heaven's provision in your life. You ready? You can't receive what you won't release. Luke 6:38 doesn't say give, and you might get it back eventually if God feels like it. It says give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. That's not a suggestion, that's a spiritual law. Between now and November 22, I want you to intentionally bless someone. Not with money you don't have. Bless them with what you do have. A phone call to someone who's lonely. A meal to a neighbor who's struggling. A word of encouragement to someone who looks defeated. A prayer spoken over someone who doesn't even know they need it. When you become a conduit of blessing, you position yourself to receive blessing. When you open your hands to give, God opens his hands to pour. It's not karma, it's kingdom. Now let me tell you why this matters, why these 5 steps aren't just nice ideas, but absolutely critical to what's about to happen in your life. Your obedience is the key that unlocks the miracle that's already yours. Heaven has already released it. The question is, are you positioned to receive it? Because November 22 is coming whether you prepare or not. But what you do between now and then will determine whether you step into your miracle or watch it from the sidelines wondering why it didn't happen for you. So are you going to do this, or are you going to let fear, procrastination, and doubt rob you one more time? Listen to me, chosen one. Something happened to you while you were watching this message. Did you feel it? That shift? That crack in the armor you've been wearing for decades? You're not the same person who clicked on this video. You can't be, because recognition changes everything. For 70, 80, maybe 90 years, you've been walking around believing a lie. The world told you that your best days were behind you, that your voice doesn't matter anymore, that at your age you should be winding down, stepping back, making room for younger people to take over. They told you to retire from life itself. But I'm looking at you right now through this screen, and I'm telling you something that's going to shatter every limitation you've accepted. You are stepping into the most powerful season of your entire life. Not yesterday, not 10 years ago, when you had more energy, not in your youth when your body was stronger. Right now, today, the 22nd of November, 2024, this moment, this is your apex. You want to know why? Because power isn't measured in physical strength. Authority isn't counted in years remaining. Anointing doesn't decrease with age, it intensifies. Every single tear you've cried, every battle you've survived, every prayer you've whispered in the dark has been stored up in heaven's vault. And on November 22, God is opening that vault and pouring it all back into your life with compound interest. Think about Moses. The world would have put him in a nursing home at 80 years old. But God looked at him and said, "Now you're ready. Now you have what it takes." Why? Because Moses had spent 40 years in Pharaoh's palace learning leadership, 40 years in the wilderness learning dependence on God, and now at 80 he finally had both. He had experience, he had humility, he had unshakable faith forged in the furnace of obscurity. Your age is not a limitation, it is a qualification. Sarah was 90 when she gave birth to the promise. 90. Her body said impossible. Logic said ridiculous. Science said no. But God said yes, because he'd been preparing that miracle for 9 decades. Every year she waited wasn't delay, it was development. Every tear she cried wasn't wasted, it was worship. And when Isaac finally arrived, he didn't just change Sarah's life, he changed history. You think God brought you this far to abandon you now? You think he kept you alive through everything you've survived, just so you could fade quietly into the background? No, he's been storing blessings for decades, and they've been maturing like fine wine in heaven's cellar. While you've been wondering if God forgot about you, he's been adding interest to promises you prayed 30 years ago. While you've been feeling invisible, he's been making you invincible. While you've been thinking you're too old, he's been saying you're finally old enough to handle what I'm about to release. Anna the prophetess was 84 years old when she recognized Jesus in the temple. 84. She'd spent decades in that same building, praying, fasting, worshipping, waiting. People probably walked past her every day without noticing. Just another old woman in the corner, irrelevant, invisible, forgotten. But when the Messiah walked through those doors, it wasn't the high priest who recognized him. It wasn't the scholars. It wasn't the young, energetic, influential leaders. It was Anna, the 84-year-old widow who'd been waiting her entire life for this moment. Luke 2:38 says, "She gave thanks to God and spoke about the child to all who were looking forward to the redemption of Jerusalem." Your voice carries more authority now than it ever has. Because you're not speaking from theory anymore, you're speaking from testimony. You're not preaching hope, you're proving it. Every gray hair on your head is a crown of wisdom. Every wrinkle on your face is a map of God's faithfulness. Every scar you carry is evidence that you survived what should have killed you. The younger generation needs your energy? No. They need your endurance. They don't need your strength, they need your stability. They don't need you to be like them, they need you to show them what decades of walking with God looks like when the world falls apart. Right now, if you could see into the spiritual realm, if the veil was pulled back for just 1 second, you would fall to your knees. Because there's a mantle over your life that would terrify the enemy. There's an anointing on your head that hell recognizes even if you don't. There's an authority in your words that makes demons tremble when you pray. This is why the attacks have been so intense. This is why the loneliness has been so crushing. This is why the enemy has worked overtime to convince you that you're done, you're finished, you're irrelevant. Because he knows something you're just beginning to remember. He knows that one senior saint who truly understands their authority can shift entire atmospheres. One grandmother who knows how to pray can change the destiny of her bloodline. One grandfather who refuses to give up can break generational curses that have held his family captive for 100 years. Caleb was 85 years old when he said, "Give me this mountain, not give me a rocking chair, not give me peace and quiet. Give me this mountain, give me the giants, give me the impossible." Because Caleb understood something that most people never learn. The older you get in God, the more dangerous you become to darkness. You are not fading. You are finally awakening. And November 22 is the alarm clock going off in the spirit realm, calling you out of decades of believing you were ordinary when heaven has always known you were extraordinary. Calling you out of thinking your time was over when God is saying your time is now. Calling you out of the lie that you're too late when the truth is you're right on time. Here's what's really happening, and this is going to blow your mind. November 22 is not the day the miracle appears. November 22 is the day you appear. You've been hidden, camouflaged, covered, not forgotten, protected, like David in the cave, like Joseph in the prison, like Moses in the wilderness. God has been keeping you in the secret place, refining you, preparing you, positioning you for this exact moment when the world needs exactly what you carry. The miracle isn't coming to you, beloved. The miracle is coming through you. You are the answer to someone else's prayer. You are the breakthrough someone's been crying for. You are the evidence that God still moves, still heals, still restores, still redeems. But you have to see yourself the way heaven sees you, not as the forgotten senior citizen society wants to shuffle aside, not as the tired, worn-out, past your prime person the mirror reflects, but as the warrior God is activating, the prophet he's unleashing, the elder statesman he's positioning to speak truth in a generation drowning in lies. So what are you going to do with this recognition? Because you can't unknow what you now know. You can't unsee what's been revealed. You can't go back to believing you're ordinary when heaven just confirmed you're chosen. The question burning in the atmosphere right now is this: will you step into who you've always been, or will you let fear convince you to stay small for one more day? You woke up this morning feeling different, didn't you? Something shifted while you were sleeping. You can't name it, can't explain it to anyone who asks. But you know somewhere deep in the marrow of your bones that the atmosphere around your life changed overnight. Your coffee tastes the same, your house looks the same, but you don't feel the same. That's not confusion, beloved. That's confirmation. When heaven moves, the earth in you trembles. Listen to me carefully. What you're experiencing right now isn't a breakdown, it's a breakthrough, trying to break through. You're not losing your mind. Your spirit is waking up from a sleep so deep, you forgot you were even sleeping. And waking up after decades of spiritual slumber, it's disorienting. It's supposed to be. Think about Lazarus, 4 days dead, wrapped in grave clothes, sealed in a tomb. Then Jesus shows up and shouts one word, "Come forth." John 11:43. But here's what nobody talks about. What did Lazarus feel in that moment? The rush of blood returning to veins that had been still, the shock of light after days of darkness, the weight of breath filling lungs that had collapsed. That wasn't comfortable. That was resurrection. And resurrection always feels like chaos before it feels like victory. Right now, some of you are experiencing what I call divine recalibration. Your sleep patterns are off. You're waking up at 2:47 a.m. with your heart pounding, not from fear, but from something you can't name. You're crying at commercials. You're feeling restless in your own skin. Your grown children are asking, "Mom, are you okay?" And you don't know how to explain that you're more than okay, you're different. Your spirit knows something changed before your mind catches up. This is what happens when a miracle is released over your life. It doesn't just change your circumstances, it disrupts your entire spiritual ecosystem. Everything that was calibrated to survival mode suddenly has to recalibrate to blessing mode. And that transition, it shakes you. But let me tell you what's really happening in the invisible realm right now. Every miracle leaves a footprint. And when heaven stamps its authority over your November 22, it leaves marks, signs, evidence that something supernatural has invaded your natural timeline. The Bible tells us in Acts 2:2 that when the Holy Spirit came on the day of Pentecost, there was a sound like the blowing of a violent wind, not a gentle breeze, a violent wind. It shook the house they were sitting in. Why? Because when heaven moves, it doesn't tiptoe, it thunders. Some of you have been praying the same prayers for 40 years. 40 years. You've been asking God to move, to shift, to change your situation. And now that He's finally moving, you're surprised that it feels like an earthquake? Dear one, you can't pray for mountains to move and then complain about the rumbling. But here's what's breaking my heart right now. I'm watching some of you experience this divine shaking, and instead of recognizing it as God's answer, you're calling it anxiety. Instead of embracing it as breakthrough, You're medicating it as breakdown. You're running to doctors for pills when heaven is trying to give you power. Stop. Just stop for a moment. What if the restlessness you're feeling isn't a problem to be solved, but a prophecy to be recognized? What if your spirit is trembling because it's detecting frequencies from another realm? What if you're not falling apart, you're being reconstructed? Think about Peter walking on water in Matthew 14. The moment he stepped out of that boat, everything in his natural mind screamed, "This is wrong. Water doesn't hold weight. You're going to drown." But his spirit knew something his mind didn't. When Jesus calls you out, the impossible becomes your new address. You're standing on water right now, beloved. And yes, it feels unstable. Yes, it feels terrifying. But that shaking beneath your feet, that's not the water giving way. That's a new foundation being laid. The shaking you feel is not fear. It is the settling of a new foundation beneath your feet. Every miracle requires adjustment. When God healed blind Bartimaeus in Mark 10, the first thing that happened wasn't celebration, it was shock. His eyes had to adjust to light they'd never seen. His brain had to process colors that had no names in his vocabulary. He had to learn to walk in a world he'd only heard about. You're Bartimaeus right now. You've been blind to your own potential for so long that now that heaven has opened your eyes, everything looks strange. But strange doesn't mean wrong. Strange means new. And new is exactly what God promised you for November 22. But I need to warn you about something crucial. In the next 48 hours, mark this, you're going to notice signs. Strange signs, unexpected signs, things that make you stop mid-step and whisper, "Wait, is that?" A phone call from someone you haven't heard from in 15 years. A check in the mail that makes no logical sense. A dream so vivid you wake up with tears on your face. An opportunity that seems too good to be true presenting itself out of nowhere. Those aren't coincidences. Those are confirmations. Heaven doesn't just release miracles and then go silent. No, God leaves breadcrumbs of evidence so you know it wasn't your imagination. He leaves witnesses so you can't talk yourself out of what He's doing. But here's what most people miss. They see the signs but dismiss them as random. They experience the shift but explain it away as emotional fluctuation. They feel the trembling but diagnose it as instability instead of recognizing it as holy ground. Don't make that mistake. Moses stood before the burning bush in Exodus 3, and the first thing God said was, "Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground." Moses didn't feel holy, he felt terrified. But feeling afraid and standing on holy ground aren't mutually exclusive, they're often simultaneous. Right now, at this very moment, you're standing on holy ground. Your living room is holy ground. Your kitchen is holy ground. That hospital room you're sitting in is holy ground. Because wherever a miracle is manifesting, the earth becomes sacred. The trembling isn't weakness, it's reverence. Your soul recognizing what your mind is still trying to process. So what do you do with this aftershock? How do you navigate these next crucial hours when everything feels electric and uncertain? You stay alert. You pay attention. You write down what you're feeling, what you're seeing, what's shifting. Because 48 hours from now, you're going to need to remember this moment when doubt tries to convince you nothing changed. Your spirit is about to give you evidence that November 22 wasn't just another day, and when it does, you're going to understand why the shaking was necessary. Because what's coming next requires you to be awake, aware, and absolutely certain that heaven has your name and your breakthrough has your address. Now listen to me very carefully, because what I'm about to reveal will explain every strange thing that's been happening to you in the last 2 days. And if you think it's been coincidence, you're about to discover that heaven doesn't do coincidence. Heaven leaves fingerprints. You've felt it, haven't you? Something's been different. Something's been shifting in the atmosphere around your life, and you can't quite name it, but you know it's real. Your spirit has been picking up frequencies that your mind can't decode yet. That's not confusion, beloved. That's confirmation. Let me ask you something that might shake you to your core. Have you cried in the last 48 hours for no logical reason? Not tears of sadness, not tears of pain, but tears that just came. You were sitting there watching television, or washing dishes, or staring out the window, and suddenly your eyes filled up and spilled over, and you thought, "What is wrong with me?" Nothing is wrong with you. Heaven is adjusting your frequency. Those tears weren't emotional breakdown. They were spiritual breakthrough. Your soul was responding to something your conscious mind hasn't caught up to yet. It's like when you walk into a room and forget why you came, but your body knew before your brain did. Your spirit is already standing in the miracle, while your mind is still questioning if it's real. Psalm 56:8 says God collects every one of your tears in a bottle. But here's what most people miss. Those aren't just tears of sorrow He's collecting. Those are tears of transition, tears of frequency shift, tears that come when heaven gets so close that your human frame can't contain the weight of divine proximity. But that's not all, is it? Random memories have been flooding back, haven't they? Moments from 30 years ago, faces you haven't thought about in decades, conversations that seemed meaningless at the time, suddenly replaying in your mind with crystal clarity. You've been wondering if you're losing your grip, if old age is making you confused. No, dear one, God is sorting your spiritual files. He's pulling out every memory that matters for what's coming next. He's reminding you of who you were before the world told you who you should be. He's showing you the threads of His faithfulness woven through every season of your life, even the ones you thought He wasn't present in. Those memories aren't random misfires in your aging brain. They're divine evidence being compiled for your breakthrough testimony. Think about Joseph in that Egyptian prison. Genesis 41:9 says, "Then the chief cupbearer said to Pharaoh, 'Today I am reminded of my shortcomings.' Suddenly, after 2 years of forgetting Joseph existed, a memory surfaced at the exact moment Pharaoh needed a dream interpreter. That wasn't coincidence. That was divine timing, triggering human memory for supernatural purpose. Your memories are being triggered because heaven is about to connect dots you couldn't see before. And then there's this: your phone has been ringing with names you haven't heard from in months, maybe years. That cousin who never calls, that old friend from church who moved away, that neighbor you lost touch with, text messages appearing out of nowhere from people who just thought of you, and you've been dismissing it as strange timing. There is no such thing as strange timing in the kingdom of God. There is only appointed timing. Ecclesiastes 3:1 declares, "To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven." People are being repositioned in your life right now because God is realigning your relationships for what He's about to do. Some people are being brought back because they have a role in your next chapter. Some people are being moved away because they would contaminate what God is releasing. Your life is being rearranged quietly, like angels working the night shift. But here's the sign that might shock you most. You've been tired, haven't you? Deeply, unusually tired. Not sick tired, not depressed tired, but a heaviness that makes you want to just sit and be still. You've been sleeping more than usual, or struggling to sleep at all. Your body feels like it's processing something massive, and you can't figure out what. Your body is catching up to your spirit. When Jacob wrestled with the angel in Genesis 32, the sun rose on him and he was limping. His body bore the evidence of a spiritual encounter. When Moses came down from Mount Sinai after being in God's presence for 40 days, his face glowed so bright that people couldn't look at him. When Daniel received prophetic visions, he said in Daniel 10:8, "I was left alone, gazing at this great vision. I had no strength left." Physical manifestation always follows spiritual transaction. Your tiredness isn't weakness. It's not age catching up with you. It's your human frame trying to process the download of divine intervention that's been deposited into your spirit over the last 48 hours. Your body is literally rewiring itself to carry what's coming. Rest is not resistance right now. Rest is receiving. Heaven doesn't just release miracles into the atmosphere and hope you catch them. Heaven confirms what it releases. Every sign, every strange occurrence, every unexplainable moment in the last 2 days has been God's way of saying, I'm here, I'm moving, and I'm doing exactly what I promised. You are not imagining these shifts. You are not creating connection where there is none. You are not desperate or delusional or wishful thinking your way into false hope. You are witnessing the miracle you prayed for take form before it fully manifests. Think about Mary after the angel visited her. Luke 1:29 says she was greatly troubled and considered what kind of greeting this might be. The visitation happened in private, but her body immediately began processing what her spirit had received. Within days, she went to visit Elizabeth, and the moment she spoke, Elizabeth's baby leaped in her womb, and Elizabeth was filled with the Holy Spirit. The signs confirmed the word before the word became flesh. Your signs are confirming your word before your word becomes visible reality. If you've experienced even one of these signs in the last 48 hours, the unexplained tears, the resurfacing memories, the unexpected reconnections, the deep physical rest or restlessness, I need you to do something right now. Don't just watch passively. Participate in what heaven is orchestrating. Comment below, I've seen the signs. That's not just engagement, that's agreement. That's you telling the spiritual realm, I recognize what's happening. I receive what's coming. I'm ready for November 22. Because, beloved, these signs aren't the miracle. These signs are the announcement that the miracle has already been released and is making its way to your address. And what I'm about to tell you next will reveal exactly what heaven has been protecting you from while preparing you for this exact moment. You know what keeps you up at 3 a.m.? It's not just the aching in your joints or the quiet house that used to be full of voices. It's the weight of what's gone, the things you can't get back, the people who aren't coming home, the years that slipped through your fingers like water while you were just trying to survive. Your daughter who doesn't call anymore. Your husband who's been gone for 7 years, but you still reach for him in your sleep. That business you built with your bare hands that collapsed in 2008. The grandchildren who live 3,000 miles away and barely know your name. The dreams you buried under bills and responsibilities, and the brutal mathematics of just getting by. You look in the mirror and you don't just see wrinkles. You see time, you see loss, you see a life that feels more like subtraction than addition. But what if I told you that everything you think is gone, every relationship, every opportunity, every year you believe was wasted? What if none of it disappeared? What if it was all being held, stored, transformed, prepared for November 22? Listen to me carefully, beloved. Your life is not a timeline. Your life is a tapestry. And what looks like holes from where you're standing looks like a pattern from where God is watching. Think about Joseph, Genesis 50-20. His own brothers threw him in a pit and sold him into slavery when he was 17 years old. 17. He lost his family, his identity, his freedom. Spent years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. Every single thing that mattered was ripped away from him. And if you asked Joseph at age 25, sitting in that Egyptian dungeon, what have you lost? He would have said, everything. But God was counting different. When Joseph finally stood before his brothers as the second most powerful man in Egypt, he didn't say, you stole my youth. He said, you intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. The years Joseph thought were stolen, they were invested. The relationships he thought were destroyed, they were repositioned. The opportunities he thought were gone, they were multiplying in the invisible realm. You've been doing the same math Joseph did in that prison, counting losses, adding up the years, calculating what's gone. But heaven's been doing different accounting. That marriage that ended, it wasn't just pain, it taught you the difference between love and codependency. And now there's a woman in your church who needs to hear that wisdom before she wastes another decade. That financial collapse that left you eating ramen at 65, it didn't just humble you, it freed you from the slavery of measuring your worth by your bank account, your lost confidence, that crushing moment when you realized you couldn't do it alone. That wasn't defeat, dear one. That was the moment you finally became useful to God, because He doesn't need your strength, He needs your surrender. But here's where it gets supernatural. Here's where November 22 shifts from theory to your actual life. God is not giving you back what you lost. He's giving you back what you became through the loss. You didn't just lose your spouse. You became someone who knows how to worship in the graveyard. You didn't just lose your savings. You became someone who understands that provision comes from heaven, not from Wall Street. You didn't just lose those years raising kids who barely thank you now. You became someone with the spiritual authority to intercede for a generation that's drowning and doesn't even know how to cry for help. The loss refined you. The grief deepened you. The years you thought were wasted were actually loading you with a kind of power that comfortable people will never carry. Look at Job, lost everything in a single day. 10 children dead, wealth destroyed, health shattered. His own wife told him to curse God and die. But Job 42:10 says, after Job had prayed for his friends, the Lord restored his fortunes and gave him twice as much as he had before. Twice as much. Not just restoration, multiplication. But notice the timing. It happened after Job prayed for the very friends who had accused him, judged him, kicked him when he was down. The restoration came when Job became the kind of man who could bless the people who wounded him. That's who you've become in the loss, chosen one. That's what the years built in you. And on November 22, God is about to show you what He's been doing with everything you thought was gone forever. The relationships you've mourned, some are about to be resurrected. The opportunities you believed passed you by, they're circling back with divine timing. The confidence that crumbled, it's being rebuilt with materials that can't be shaken. But there's one kind of restoration that's more powerful than all the others. One return that will change everything you thought you knew about your future. And it's not what you think. Are you ready to discover what heaven's been holding in reserve, specifically for November 22? You know what the enemy has been doing to you for the last 20, 30, 40 years. He hasn't just been attacking your finances. He hasn't just been coming after your health. He's been systematically, deliberately, ruthlessly silencing your voice. Think about it. When was the last time someone actually listened when you spoke? When was the last time your children called asking for your wisdom instead of telling you what to do? When was the last time you opened your mouth in a room full of people and felt like your words carried weight instead of disappearing into thin air like smoke? I'll tell you exactly when it started. It started the moment hell recognized what you were carrying. The moment darkness realized that your voice, your specific voice, aged by fire, seasoned by suffering, refined by decades of walking with God, was the one weapon they could not defend against. So they came after it, aggressively, strategically. They used your own family to dismiss you. Mom, times have changed. You don't understand how things work now. They used society to marginalize you. Let the younger generation lead. Step aside. Your time has passed. They even used the church to silence you. We appreciate your service, but we're looking for fresh voices. Fresh voices, as if wisdom that's been tested by 60, 70, 80 years of real life could be replaced by enthusiasm that's never been through fire. But here's what breaks my heart, and listen to me carefully. You believed them. Somewhere along the way, you swallowed the lie that your voice doesn't matter anymore. You stopped speaking up in family gatherings. You stopped sharing what God showed you in your prayer time. You stopped declaring His promises over your household because you convinced yourself that nobody was listening anyway. The enemy didn't just silence your mouth, beloved. He convinced you that you had nothing worth saying. But November 22 changes everything. Look at what God says in Joel 2:28. I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your old men will dream dreams. Your young men will see visions. Did you catch that? Your old men will dream dreams. Not used to dream, not once dreamed. Will dream. Present tense, future tense, active tense. God is not done speaking through the aged. He's just getting started. You want to know why your voice carries more weight now than it ever has? Because you've survived deserts that younger people cannot even imagine. You've walked through valleys where the sun didn't shine for years, and you're still standing. You've faced giants that should have killed you, and you're still breathing. You've been through divorces, bankruptcies, diseases, losses that would have destroyed weaker souls, and every single battle you survived taught you something about God's faithfulness that cannot be learned in a classroom, cannot be downloaded from a podcast, cannot be preached by someone who's never had to choose between groceries and medication. Your voice isn't just opinion anymore. Your voice is testimony. Your voice is evidence. Your voice is proof that God keeps his promises even when it looks like he forgot his word. Think about Moses. Exodus 7:7 tells us he was 80 years old when he stood before Pharaoh and said, "Let my people go." 80. The world would have put him in a nursing home, but God put a staff in his hand and thunder in his throat and said, "Now speak, now command, now declare my will, and watch Pharaoh's empire crumble." Or consider Anna the prophetess. Luke 2:36 says she was 84 years old, widowed for most of her life, living in the temple. Everyone probably thought she was just a sweet old lady who prayed a lot. But when baby Jesus was brought to the temple, she didn't whisper, she didn't ask permission. Luke 2:38 says, she spoke about the child to all who were looking forward to the redemption of Jerusalem. She spoke, she declared, she prophesied. At 84 years old, her voice became the first evangelical sermon about the Messiah. That's you, chosen one. That's your assignment. But here's where it gets supernatural. Here's where November 22 becomes more than just a date. It becomes a divine activation. After November 22, when you open your mouth to speak God's truth, heaven will back your words. Not someday, not eventually, immediately. Your prayers over your prodigal children, they're about to hit with force they've never had before. Your declarations over your finances, watch how quickly doors start opening. Your words of blessing over your grandchildren, they're about to carry generational impact that rewrites family histories. Because God is restoring what the locust has eaten, and the first thing he's restoring is your voice. You think it's coincidence that you're feeling this stirring in your chest right now. You think it's random that something inside you is waking up after being dormant for years. No, beloved. That's the sound of your voice coming back online. That's the Holy Spirit tuning your vocal cords to heaven's frequency. Proverbs 18:21 declares, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Not death and life are in the power of youth. Not death and life are in the power of energy, the power of the tongue." Your tongue, aged, weathered, tested, proven. Your voice is no longer an echo of your past, it's the trumpet of your destiny. But the enemy knows what's about to happen. That's why the attacks have intensified lately. That's why you've felt more dismissed, more overlooked, more invisible than ever before. Because hell recognizes that when you finally remember who you are and open your mouth with the authority of someone who's walked with God for decades, kingdoms shift, atmospheres change, curses break, destinies activat. So right now, right this second, I need you to do something that's going to terrify every demon assigned to keep you silent. I need you to say it out loud, not in your head, out loud. My voice is rising again. Say it. My voice is rising again. Say it until you feel it. Say it until your spirit catches fire. Say it until hell backs away and heaven leans in. Because after November 22, you are not going to be the quiet one in the corner anymore. You are not going to be the overlooked elder who stays silent while foolishness is spoken over your family. You are not going to watch another generation drift into darkness while you carry the light, but refuse to shine it. Your words will shape your family's future. Your prayers will redirect your children's paths. Your declarations will establish boundaries that protect your lineage for generations you'll never meet. When you speak after November 22, heaven will back your words. But the question that will determine everything is this: will you have the courage to open your mouth? Chosen one, as we come to the end of this sacred moment together, I need you to hold 3 eternal truths in your heart, like precious stones you'll carry for the rest of your days. First, November 22 is not just another date you'll cross off your calendar with tired hands. It's a divine appointment that heaven has been orchestrating since before you understood what waiting meant. This is your hinge point, your turning day, the moment when everything you've survived becomes the foundation for everything you're about to step into. Second, your voice, that voice the enemy worked so hard to silence, that voice society told you didn't matter anymore, that voice you've been afraid to use, it's being restored with supernatural authority. When you speak after this day, you're not just sharing opinions, you're releasing decrees that carry the weight of decades walking with God. You're speaking with the authority of someone who's been refined by fire and proven faithful. Third, your age is not your disqualification, it's your greatest weapon. Every gray hair is a crown of wisdom. Every wrinkle tells a story of God's faithfulness. Every year you've lived has been preparing you for this exact moment when the world needs what only seasoned warriors can provide. But beloved, I need you to hear something deeper than all of this. You are not walking this path alone. Right now, as you sit there feeling the weight of these words settle into your spirit, the God who spoke galaxies into existence is still speaking over your life. He hasn't stepped away. He hasn't moved on to someone younger or more qualified. He's been right here, walking every valley with you, collecting every tear, recording every prayer. Romans 8:31 reminds us, if God is for us, who can be against us? That's not just a nice verse to hang on your wall, that's your reality. The Creator of heaven and earth is for you, fighting for you, working behind scenes you cannot see to orchestrate the miracle you've been waiting for. And you're not just connected to Him, you're connected to a community right here. Look at these comments, see these hearts responding, feel these spirits resonating with yours. You've found your tribe, chosen one. This isn't just a YouTube channel. This is a family of believers who understand your struggle, who've walked similar paths, who will stand with you in prayer when your own strength runs dry. We are here. We see you. We believe in you. So let me ask you one final question, and let it sink deep into the most honest part of your soul. Now that you know November 22 is your appointed day, now that you understand your voice carries heaven's authority, now that you've been reminded of who you really are, what will you do with this truth? Will you go back to living small, or will you rise and step into the calling that's been waiting for you? Before you leave this sacred space, join me in prayer. Wherever you are, in your living room, in your car, lying in bed at 3 a.m., place your hand on your heart right now. Feel it beating. That rhythm is proof that God's not done with your story. Heavenly Father, I come before your throne right now, carrying every precious soul who has stayed with us through this entire message. Lord, you see them, you know their names. You've counted every tear they've cried in the darkness when they thought no one was watching. Father, I pray for supernatural breakthrough over their lives starting November 22. Break every chain of silence that's kept them bound. Shatter every lie that told them their time has passed. Destroy every attack of the enemy that tried to convince them they don't matter. Lord, restore their voice with such authority that when they speak, heaven backs their words and hell has to obey. Give them dreams again. Give them vision again. Give them the fire they thought had died years ago. I pray for their families, Father. Bring their prodigal children home. Heal their broken relationships. Provide for their needs in ways that defy natural explanation. Give them health, strength, and vitality that defies their age and amazes their doctors. God, open doors that no man can shut. Send divine connections, Release unexpected provision. Let them see with their own eyes that you are still the God of miracles, that you still move mountains, that you still show up for those who've been faithful in the waiting. Place your hand on their shoulders right now, Lord. Let them feel your presence like a warm blanket on a cold night. Let them really know that they are loved, they are chosen, they are remembered, and they are about to step into the greatest chapter of their entire lives. Surround them with your favor as with a shield. Send angels to guard their steps. Give them peace that surpasses understanding. And on November 22, Lord, let them wake up, knowing that everything has shifted, everything has changed, and nothing will ever be the same again. In the mighty, powerful, unshakable name of Jesus Christ, I seal this prayer over their lives. Let it be done according to your perfect will. Amen. Now, I want to hear from you. Don't just watch and disappear. This community needs your voice. Share in the comments below what God spoke to your heart today. Tell us what you're believing Him for on November 22. Ask us to pray for specific areas where you need breakthrough. We will surround you with intercession. And if this message stirred something deep in your spirit, share it. Share it with that friend who's been feeling forgotten. Share it with your sister who's been waiting for a miracle. Share it with anyone who needs to be reminded that God hasn't forgotten them and their appointed day is coming. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey. Thank you for opening your heart, for letting these words penetrate the sacred places of your soul, for being brave enough to believe that maybe, just maybe, your greatest days are still ahead of you. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. We're building something powerful here, a movement of chosen ones who refuse to be silenced, who refuse to fade quietly, who refuse to believe the lie that their time has passed. Until we meet again, walk in your authority, speak with your restored voice. Remember who you are. You are chosen. You are called. You are covered. And November 22 is your day. God bless you, warrior. Your miracle has already been released. Now go and walk in it.